Up. Guess what, Jim? We are live. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Pin the Gas podcast. What an episode we have today. What an honor it is to have Jim, Vet2Track, here with us today. So, Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good, man. Oh, I almost knocked my microphone over. I like the shirt, bro. I like that shirt. Yeah, look at it. Yeah. So, Jim, yeah, I'd like, man, thank you. I have one. Jim actually gave me one. I got the same shirt he's got on, same color and everything, and I love it. I actually wore it yesterday out, and actually had a guy ask me about it. And I was like, yeah, he's a buddy of mine. He owns, Vet2Track, and helps, we get you out there on the racetrack and all that cool stuff. So I actually gave my number, so I'm waiting on him to call me because he said he's interested. So I'm just going to pass him on to you and yeah, let you handle it. But Jim, what an honor again, like I said, to have you here. Why don't you introduce yourself and how you got into motorcycles and the whole Vet2Track, which is awesome, by the way.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. So I got into motorcycles because my dad and I built a mini bike for me back when I was just a wee little kid. I rode that thing everywhere. I lived out in the country. My dad owned a gravel pit, and I would just go ride and ride and ride and ride. The funny thing was, both of my parents were like, no, you're not owning a motorcycle. After they built a mini bike for me. So right after high school, I went and bought a couple bikes and knew that I did not have the mental ability to control myself, and I sold them. I didn't ride again, other than some dirt bikes here and there, until 2008. I got back into bikes. Bought a bike 2 years later. I bought my ZX6R. I did my first track day in 2010, right before I deployed to Afghanistan.
Nice.
I was gone to Afghanistan for a year and a half. Came back and had quite a few issues from being over there. And I did the entire 2012 season of track days at our local track, Grattan.
Love it. That is awesome.
And then 2013, I crashed and I broke so I couldn't ride. But where did I find myself every track weekend? Back at the track, because I realized how important those people were to me. Because 4 days before I retired from the military is when I broke my collarbone.
Oh no.
So my military was done. I didn't have that community anymore. So the track community became my family. So I rode at the end of the year, and then 14, I did the whole season. 15, I actually started doing a little racing. I did my first race the day before my 49th birthday. A little late bloomer, but
hey, you're there. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. And then at the same time, I decided to start Vet2Track because I realized what an impact the track had on me and how important it was. So I wanted to find a way to give them a chance to find something that allowed them to get outside of their head and focus on something completely different and new. So that was when Vet2Track was born. That was 2015. We've been doing this since then. A couple of years, we were pretty slim on the funding, so we didn't do a lot. We started out originally doing just track days. We would put veterans on the track. And then in 2019, we worked with, I can't think of his last name. Sean, can't think of his last name. Motor America rider. And we put he put a veteran on his team. So from then on, we started doing that. We started working with Nolan Lampkin. I've known Nolan since Nolan was 13, 14 years old. And he's just been a huge supporter of Vet2Track since the very beginning. We primarily put veterans on his team. We've also worked with Chris Spates. We've worked with Cliff Ramsdell. We've worked with a couple other ones, and I can't think of their names right now. But it's been an amazing ride. You know, the veterans get a chance to be an actual part of the pit crew, not just hang out and watch. They actually get to work on the crew. They give them a job. They have responsibilities and expectations, and it's a great way to give them back that teamwork.
Yeah.
You know, being part of something bigger than yourself.
Right.
And one of the big takeaways that I've gotten from a bunch of the veterans is they realize that that racer can't do anything without the team. That translates to their own life, that they need a team back home too.
That's right.
You know, a team to surround them, somebody they can talk to, somebody that's going to hold them accountable, you know, somebody that's going to be fun, you know, and those don't have to be the same person.
No, they
so
don't.
It helps them to reach out and find that team again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, going back to the veterans you have when you put them on track and you give them roles, how do you pick who does what role within the team? Like, you're going to be tire warmer guy, you're going to be front pit, you know, front stand, rear stand.
So that actually comes from the team.
Okay.
And it depends on how comfortable the team is and how comfortable that. We've had a person who literally was like, dude, I'm going to keep time and that's you guys on schedule. I don't want any other responsibility. And then we had another vet who actually helped tear down a motor in the middle of the night and replace a head gasket.
Nice.
And everything in between. Sometimes they run the pit board. Sometimes they do tire warmers. Sometimes they just clean the bike. It all depends on what they're comfortable with. A lot of the veterans don't have any motorcycle experience. So this is something completely new to them.
I think it's wonderful, Jim. Vet2Track is the best thing I've heard. Getting people, like you said, more involved in teamwork from being a civilian now, right? Because you're not full-fledged military. So coming to be a civilian, you're right. You need that support system. You need people around you. You need to feel like I have a job to do and I need to get it done, right? And with the help of other people that are around you that support you and love you, it makes it easier. It's I think that it's simply amazing. You know, it really is. And I'm glad that we met and that I can be a part of it too as well, right?
Absolutely.
It's, man, bro, it's just amazing. It really is. Sometimes I get lost for words because, man, what you're doing is just it's super mega, proper mega, as my mates across the pond would say, right? So walk us through a typical weekend. But before you do that, Jim, why don't you, when vets reach out to you or you reach out to the vets, start from there and then take us into the weekend and how a typical weekend looks and how it's run.
Yeah. So we have a nomination process out on our store website. We have a nomination link. It's not live right now because we haven't got our schedule for next year. But either the veteran or someone close to them can nominate them to be a part of this. And then we go through and kind of look at them based on need. And then we rank them and then we reach out to them, give them the opportunity to be a part of it. And then once we've got our selections done, we assign each veteran to a team. And then once we get them assigned to a team, on Thursday of the Moto America weekend, they show up at the track. We introduce them to the team, and then the team basically takes them from there, and they work out what the veteran is going to do, how they're going to fit into the team, and so on. And then we make breakfast and supper. We also give them a place to stay. So right now I'm actually in my toy hauler, which I drag to almost all of the events, and we all stay right here. So we end up having supper together. We all sleep in the same spot. So whenever you get a few veterans together, the first thing that happens is start telling war stories. Then you start telling track stories. You talk about the day. And then it goes from there. You know, a lot of times somebody will go, you know, man, I'm struggling with this. And somebody else will go, you know, I struggled with that, and here's what I did. And it becomes this very, very authentic healing session. I never start those. I want that to be something that comes from the veterans. I just want to foster the environment that allows them to feel safe. Yeah. Hey, Sean. So Sean is actually one of the veterans that we placed on a team a couple of years ago. And Sean has actually been picked up by the team, and he goes to all of the events that Chris does.
What is up, Sean? Good stuff.
And he's a huge supporter. There's some things in the works to possibly increase our reach. I really can't get into those yet, but Sean will be a part of that.
Sounds like big things are coming.
We're hoping. That's the plan.
I'm sure it will, Jim. Absolutely, I'm sure it will. So when you come up with this idea, how did you put that whole plan into motion? Like, was it easy, or did it take you a couple of years to actually organize it and get it all in? Or
the initial starting to do the track days was pretty easy, because at that point I was already a coach with Sport Bike Track Time. So being able to fit veterans in on a weekend worked out pretty easy. The only bad thing about that was we didn't have any real good way to make money to continue to support that.
Yeah.
And then 2019 came around, and I was actually at Road America. We had a booth set up. We're selling t-shirts. We were partnered with another charity that we were giving away a Ducati. And Sean Hill, that was the racer that I was thinking of earlier. He used to race in the Twins Cup. His dad would come by. His dad was a Marine vet, and he would stop by and just, say hi. And then our conversations got longer and longer, and then he'd have to run back and be pit crew for his son, and then he'd come back and we'd chat. And I ended up putting him on a track day. He's 69 years old, did his first track day. Sean came with him, and Sean was his pit crew for the day.
Nice.
So his dad got this just amazing experience out of it. And then after that, they kind of decided to put it back in my race. So we did. That turned out amazing. So that was like, this has as big, if not a bigger benefit for some people than actually doing the track days. Right. So we started focusing on that. And at first it was kind of rough. But over time it's gotten better. One of the biggest issues that we've ran into is veterans canceling at the last minute. So some of the time it's legit. I had something come up at work, that I can't get out of. My boss told me absolutely no, canceled my PTO. Right. We've had other ones that just kind of go, sorry, can't do it. And, because we work primarily with veterans that have PTSD and some other issues, in a way it's to be expected. But I can't, at the same time, I can't have 2 or 3 extras, on hold and then tell them, yeah, man, sorry, you're not gonna be able to make it.
Yeah. So what positives has the veterans told you about being out on track, and how has it helped them with their PSTD?
So one of the things I mentioned a few minutes ago, it just gives them that need to have a team again. But another thing is it helps them set goals. So during the weekend, you always are going for your next goal. We have to have the bike ready by a certain time. Well, to have that ready, we have to have the tire warmers on. We have to have, the fuel topped off. We have to go through everything that that needs to happen so that when the rider throws his leg over, the only thing he has to worry about is riding. He doesn't have to worry about, are all the bolts tight? Do I have fuel? Are my tire pressures right? That's already handled. So it helps them to realize that they need to have goals in their own life. And I've had, I can't even count how many veterans have said that has been a big part of it for them, was realizing how goals are something that they haven't had. And it helps to create them.
It gives them a purpose, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one other thing that is really cool about doing the Moto America events is they're there for the whole weekend. They're embedded with the team. They're part of it. They get to see and hear everything that's going on. A month later, they start going down that road again. They can pull that race up at any time and watch it. You and I watch a race, exciting. Watch when you get to watch a race that you helped with, where you actually were part of that crew, and sometimes even see yourself on the grid. That brings all of those thoughts and feelings back, which helps to make life better.
Yeah, absolutely. We obviously, you can see we've got a bunch of comments coming in here. Danny Metter, what is up? Sean, what's going on? Radfur McGee, I hope I didn't just murder your first name, right? Steve, yeah, man, thank you guys so much. Obviously, some of these guys are actually you know them, and you worked with them. You know what I'd like to do too? Our next podcast we do together, because there's going to be many more, not just this one, is I would love to have you and one of your riders on at the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
And I'd like to have have the rider on for part of it and have one of the vets on for part of it.
Listen, I can have up to like 10 people on the podcast at one time. So yeah, we can get 3 or 4 of them on with you, and then we'll let them tell their story and what they learned from the experience, because obviously everybody is different. So everybody's going to take something different away from their experience, right? But the main thing is it helps them mentally, right?
Oh, for sure.
And that's the whole point. I wish there was more programs. I think the government should step up and do a bigger program than what they do now, but that's politics. That's a little, I can't even talk either here nor there right now, right? But Jim, what you're doing in the outlet you give people, not only one, you're helping the sport, you are helping them focus, right, and be mentally challenged, right, to where they got to think, and everything else goes away, right? All the worries in the world, all that goes away, and it's great for the sport, right? And it's great for everybody involved. It really is. I'm so proud of you, man, for real. Vet2Track dude, it's so awesome.
And there is a selfish part of it too, because it helps me.
Of course.
When I get the opportunity to watch a veteran come in on Thursday and they're walking in kind of like this,
shoulder slumped, and
then you can slowly watch them come to life over a weekend. It's amazing. And we've had young veterans, old veterans, male, female, pretty much every demographic you can imagine. We've had veterans from, and every one of them has had a very similar experience, and one of the teams, and Donnie can attest to this, one of the teams has said that they think that they get as much, if not more, out of it than our actual. Because most of our veterans don't like to any of the issues that they have and whatever. And there's something about being at a racetrack and being in the environment that we're in, and then, you know, having the other veterans during, you know, in the evening, it just makes people much more open. And a lot of our veterans have, you know, shared a lot of things with the teams, and the teams get to see the veterans in a different light. And I think that, again, like you said, I think that helps the sport. You know, it makes it more inclusive to everybody instead of just people that love motorcycles. You know, I've created motorcycle fans, you know, from this. You know, I've had people who had never been to a motorcycle race, had never watched a motorcycle race, and they're like, I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do during this thing, right?
Right.
There, and they end up getting put to work on a professional race team. And then the next thing you know, they're hooked. And because of that, they've got 3 or 4 of their buddies back home who tune into the race that weekend because their buddy's going to be, you know, possibly on TV.
Right.
So it's kind of snowballed, and the number of people that have started watching racing, you know, it to me is awesome.
It is, and you're right. You have creative fans, because this guy right here is definitely one of them, right? Yes, absolutely. And listen, for all those that are listening and tuning in, me and Jim actually met at Jersey the last round of Moto America. I try to meet everybody that weekend. It was a crazy weekend. It's like every time I turned around, people were, you know, pulling me to the side, and just, you know, of course I like to talk, obviously, right? And it ended up turning into a long conversations with most everybody, where I feel a little sorry for my dad, because he was watching my son. Well, he hung out with Yondell and all them, but finally I grabbed my dad, because I wasn't even thinking, right? So I finally grabbed my dad. I said, come on, Dad, I need to introduce you to a lot of people. And it was just like one after another. My dad was like, holy shit, dude, you know everybody, right? I was like, yeah, but dude, it's all one big family, and it's awesome. It really is. Kaffer, what is going on? It's the camaraderie and being a team. I love what it did for my husband, and will support it every chance I get. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. I would love to come out there and actually help you guys out on a racetrack weekend, doing whatever, tire warmers, it don't matter, talking to them. Yeah, I would like to be involved in it too sometime, for sure.
I'm sure we can probably work something out.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to work something out, man. Do you guys ever go to VIR?
No. Moto America did a couple of years there, and they've stopped going there.
Yeah, I know, unfortunately. But I heard they're trying to work it back out to bring them back on. So hopefully they do, right? I hope. So what's the most you get out of the weekend working with all the vets?
Being able to see the change in their openness, getting them to take on a challenge that is outside of their norm, you know, getting them to take that risk. Because one thing that a lot of veterans are afraid of is failure,
right?
You know, and being in the civilian world, in the public eye, you know, it's easy to fail. And when you put them on a team and they strive, it's an amazing thing for me to watch. And then the relationships, you know, there's several of the vets that I stay in contact with on a daily, if not weekly basis.
That's awesome.
And a good number of them I still, you know, connect with. It may only be once a month or whatever, but still reach out, and in both directions. So
that's awesome. So do you do just Moto America weekends, like when they do? So you don't guys do any other? You just follow Moto America around?
Yep. So one of the biggest issues that I have is There we go.
Look at this guy right here.
So, I still work. I am excited by the number of PTO days. I'm really lucky to be able to work for a company that allows me to work from the road. So when I go, like when I went out to Laguna Seca, I live in Michigan. We're based out of Michigan. So when I went out to Laguna Seca, that's a 4 or 5 day drive for me.
Facts.
Right.
Yes.
So we just drove pretty much straight out there. And then I did the event. And then on the way home, I would work during the day and then drive for 4 or 5 hours at night. So I saved PTO so that I was able to go do more events. There's a part of me that really kind of wants to retire so I can do this full time. But like right now, there are no paid staff with Vet2Track. Every one of us, including myself, are volunteers. Because there's so many charities out there that are getting some dude rich and throwing a couple pennies out here and there to whoever their demographic is. Right. And I've never wanted to do that. I've always wanted it to be an authentic experience for people. One thing that I know I need to do more of is social media. But one of the things that I stayed away from with social media is making the veterans a center point of the advertising.
Yeah.
I don't ever want the veterans to feel like they're being put up there so that we can make money.
Right.
I want them to have an authentic experience where they feel like they were the most important person in the world that weekend.
And they should. Yeah.
And does that hurt us for fundraising? Yeah, it does. But at the same time, this is about the veterans. It's not about, I don't care if anybody ever knows who I am. This isn't about me. I do this for those veterans. And it's something that I'm really passionate about. And I don't ever want it to be about me or focused on me or even focused necessarily on Vet2Track. I want that veteran to walk away at the end of the weekend and say that weekend was about me. So it's one of those balance things, trying to find that good balance of, where do I draw that line?
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I feel you on that. Social media is obviously, when we were growing up, we didn't have our social media was going outside, hanging out with our friends, right? Our school. But now, man, it's such a big part of everyday life, not including our sport too, right? All sports, wherever in the world, right? Social media is so big. So I understand, Jim. It's, listen, it's another full-time job. It really is.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jim.
It's a necessary evil.
It absolutely it is. It's I'm obviously you guys know since I podcast, I'm constantly on there, but I also know my limit. I'll of course in the morning, what's up, my people's midday, and at night, I don't. And then anybody that replies, I'm always replying back to them, right? But it does come to a point to where when I'm at home with my wife and my son, I got to just tune it all out and cut it all off. Right. So to me, Jim, that was the hardest thing for me to learn how to do. Right. Was juggle between them two, because my passion for motorcycles and podcasting and talking to everybody. Right. I love it. It's mega. It's everything that I've always wanted to do, but how do you turn that off? Right. You can't just flip a switch and that's it. Right. So it's a juggling act. I got it pretty much nailed down now. I still get in trouble just a little bit. Right. A little bit. But man, without my support system, it would be hard for me to do this. Right. Not saying that I couldn't do it, but it would it would make life a whole lot harder. my mom used to always say it takes a village to raise a kid, right? Well, it takes a village to raise one racer, and it takes a village to run Vet2Track, right? It takes a village to do anything, really, if you think about it.
Yep. And, there's a few people on here that have helped out at events. So Steve, he's a buddy of mine from Canada. He actually comes down and helps out at several events. He's a firefighter, not a veteran, but he understands what most of us go through. So he's helped out at several events. And then Tim, he's been on a team. His wife was actually going to help out at New Jersey, but because the weather was so bad,
it was horrible.
I wasn't risking putting up our canopy and getting all of our stuff wet. So unfortunately, we didn't get the opportunity to work with her again. So thank you again. Even though we weren't able to do that, it was much appreciated. And we've had a lot of other people who have been on a team and then came back and helped us at an event. Even if it's just helping out in the vendor booth. We have a vendor booth where we sell our t-shirts and take donations and so on, which is a big part of how we pay for being able to do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Tim, how's it going, buddy? Sorry, I murdered your alter ego name over here, right? Sorry about that, but yeah, dude. Look, Tim, I'm just like you. Like, I would love to get up with Jim and go to some events and help him out. I don't care what I was doing. I mean, I'll do what I'll cook, I'll clean, I'll towel warm. You just give me, hey, this is what I need you to do. Boom, no problem. And also, Jim, what would be cool is we could actually do a live podcast at the track. Right.
For sure.
At the end of the day, I could have all the riders come in and they could talk about, of course, it's like anything. The anxiety kicks in, right? But before you actually go out on track, and then once you're out there, everything goes away and you come back, it's nothing but smiles and good times and love. And it's just, yeah, man, I would love to be part of that for sure.
Hi, Chris.
Chris, what is going on? But yeah, so I actually sent Chris a message. I'm waiting on him to reply back because you're up next there, buddy. Right? Yeah, I can't wait to talk to him. Yeah, it's amazing what you do. It really is. I think there should be, and I said this earlier, more programs out there to help vets. Right? I think it's something that it needs to be a lot more of, right? Because it's really not. And man, what better way to do it than introduce them to the sport that we love, right, Jim? And
and there's so many charities out there that do, there's ones for fishing, hunting, horseback, underwater basket weaving, all of these things that are out there. And those are great. But for somebody like me, I can go fishing whenever I want to.
Yeah.
Right. But there's this group of veterans that fits into this, and they don't necessarily fit into the other things.
Yeah.
So this is one of the only things that's actually going to reach them.
Yeah.
And being able to provide that experience is amazing to me.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of fun. It's a shitload of work.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if the veteran, get something out of it, it's worth it. And I've had a couple of veterans who've reached out and said that the only reason they're still here is because of the event they did.
Congratulations, dude. That's awesome.
And that right there is something that you can't. There's not enough money in the world to say,
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, dude, Jim, you're good, man. I get it. I feel the love. I feel the emotions. It's hard to put into words the emotions and way somebody makes you feel, right? It really is sometimes. And you see the joy. And then when they reach out to you, like, and just tell you, listen, I loved it. You saved me, right? Hearing that it's like, I completed my job. Like and now it makes you want to work even harder. It makes you want to reach out even more. It makes you want to do it double time, right? Yeah, I get it, bro. I really do. I get emotional too as well. I say it. People know it, like when Jake Marsh put Pin to Gas on and BSB on the bike, man. When we got done, dude, I cried like a little girl. I ain't afraid to admit it, man. I went in there. Of course, it was all tears of joy, right? But it was
Right.
it's a feeling that you can't explain. It's just, and honestly, Jim, I wish everybody in the world deserves to have that feeling, right? Really does. It's yeah, it's nothing like it, man. Yes, so Jersey, right? So back to when me and Jim met, it was I'm a hugger, right? So as soon as I see him, I'm like, Jim, what is up, dude? Right? Big old hugs and talks, and yeah, Chris, I didn't get a chance to give him a hug because he was busy packing up his trailer, trying to get up out of there on that weekend, right? And Jim, you weren't lying, dude. New Jersey weather was shit. It really was. It was horrible. But yeah, people went out there and got it done. And same thing, Jim, right? Whether it's in the rain or sunshine, nothing but smiles, right? Everybody that goes out and come blah, blah, blah. I have a problem talking today. Listen, I'm struggling. It's awesome. But yeah, so oh man, dude. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So started Vet2Track. We're here today. Moving forward, what's the future for Vet2Track hold? Like, what are your aspirations? What is your end game, your end goal?
My end goal is to be able to do track days across the nation. Not necessarily just our own track days, but to focus on putting veterans on track days, be it with whatever organization. I do want to have our own track days as well. I want to continue the Moto America. And even, moving into some of the WIRA CCS type things. Just growing it so that we can reach out to more veterans.
Yeah, it's of course.
More veterans.
Sorry, you broke up there for a second.
Okay. And getting it to a point where we can have veterans do more than one weekend. Right now, for the most part, people do one weekend. And then, we have another veteran for another weekend. We do have some veterans that have been picked up by the teams, and they do multiple weekends with them. And we've had some that have called up literally last minute. Hey, we had somebody cancel. Can you fill in for this weekend? They're there. Because we've worked with, a couple of teams long enough that they've become accustomed to having one of our veterans. So when they're not there, it hurts.
Yeah.
And like last year at Brainerd, our veteran canceled, and I got a call from Nolan's dad, and he's like, "Hey, can you get us somebody?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'll be there." I drove up to Brainerd, and I was on the team for the week. And it was really awesome to be able to, so being able to be in both roles was pretty cool.
It is. Yeah. It's what is your favorite track that you go to?
For the Moto America, I'm gonna have to say Barber. I absolutely love Barber.
I've never been. That's a track I really want to go to. So I'm gonna try to make it happen next year.
I really like Laguna Seca as well. As far as riding, I really like my local track, Grattan Raceway. But I also love Barber. I've only ridden Barber a couple times, but that track is so much fun.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Let's see. Yeah, I would say those are probably my two favorite. I like all of them. I mean, I haven't really been to a track that I absolutely
Didn't like, right?
Of, but yeah, those are my favorites.
So as far as bringing the vets in and putting them on the track, whose bikes are they riding?
So we have bikes that they can ride. Some of them ride their own bike. You know, some of them have Harleys, so they don't feel comfortable taking that on the track. So we have bikes that they can ride. Unfortunately, this year we actually didn't put anybody on a track day at all. We just didn't have the funding, and I didn't have the PTO to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So next year, that focus is going to be to do a lot more track days, including at several of the events. There is a track day on Monday after the Moto America weekend. So being able to put a veteran or veterans on after that is huge. We've done that at Barber a couple times, and they get to work with the team all weekend. Then they get to go ride on the same racetrack that they just watched all the races on. And that's pretty, as you put it, mega. They love that. You know, it kind of rounds out that weekend. And I'm starting to push toward next year right now. I'm doing some corporate fundraising and so on so that we can do that.
That's amazing. It is. It's I like my favorite track, man, that's a tough one because there's such good tracks out there, right? One of my least favorites, I ain't gonna lie, is Coda. Look, it's a great layout and it's cool, but I don't know. You know how sometimes you get on a track and you just don't flow right? You just don't gel well with it, right? It's just one of those tracks that I've never ridden it in person, but on my PS5, absolutely, right? And it's it's a struggle, man. I've been to Laguna Seca. Laguna Seca was I was there 2005, first year MotoGP come back.
Okay.
It was magical, right? People don't understand turn 11 from the corkscrew all the way down to turn 11. Yeah, it's just like at Coda, right? The turn 1, I mean, it's a massive hill that's, you know, straight up and down. It's they're awesome. I'm going to Road Atlanta next year, which I'm super excited about. Yep, Road Atlanta. Obviously you're going to be there. Yep. I can't wait. Yes, we're going to have a good time. We'll have to cook out for sure.
Road America is another one that I would love to ride it after the repace.
Well, let's make it happen. We'll make it happen, right?
Biggest thing for me is time.
I know. Yeah, that's everything, man. It's like, dude, I get invited to so many events. It's like, I'm like you. Like, I would just have to quit my job, but I don't get paid to do this, right? I wish I did. But yeah, it's there's only so much you know I can do right now, but I would love to be able to do it, man. You know, full time, just travel. Like, I would love to, like, for example, follow Vet2Track around one whole season, do podcasts, film it, put it out there. You know, I would love to be able to do that. Financially, I just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Unless I go out here and hit the lotto. It's not a bad idea, right?
And that's kind of what I'm at. There's a part of me that says, you know what, throw caution to the wind, retire from my job, and just try and make it work.
Yeah.
And the idea is there.
It is, and it's a great idea. The foundation's there. Yep.
Just think, you know, I have, like, when I don't get any money from Vet2Track at all. I literally don't take money for anything. I own the truck and the trailer that we use for this. And I decided, since I'm on the road so much, I kind of went with a higher end truck. So if I retire, I still have to make that truck payment.
Right. Somebody's got to pay it. Yeah.
So, you know, I'm trying to find some alternate sources to fund it. I also own an LLC that is inactive right now, but it's Vet2Track Motorsports. So trying to find a way to create a for-profit company that can help donate funds to this. I'll be working, but it'll be working in conjunction with this and so on. So there's a lot of things in the works. It just takes a lot of time and money to put some of those things together. So
yeah, it does, Jim. It really does. But what you're doing, Jim, my friend, you is mega and amazing, and what you're doing for everybody out there is it proper, right? I love it. I'm so glad we met and got in touch with each other. It's an honor.
yeah, me too.
It really is. But listen, Jim, this is the time. Let's put up the leathers. Let's put up the boots. Let's put all that stuff up, right? I want to get into Jim, right? So the first thing I want to ask Jim is, who's your celebrity crush?
I'm gonna have to go with Sandra Bullock.
Nice. Bullet Train. Wasn't she in Bullet Train with Keanu Reeves? Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie.
Yeah. So with that, I also don't watch TV, and I rarely ever watch movies.
Yeah. Okay. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I am a Star Wars nerd, so everybody out there already knows I'm a Star Wars nerd. So I do watch Star Wars, Ahsoka, and Mandalorian, all that shit, right? But I'm like you, man. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. When I do, guess what? It is road racing, right? And when the season's over, I go back and watch all the reruns because I just, there are some movies that, of course, I do sit down and watch. But I'm like you. I'm not a big, I have to sit down on the couch and watch TV for hours. If I do, shit, dude, I'd love to sit down and play my PlayStation for 3 hours straight, right? I don't even have time to do that half the time. I'm lucky if I get 45 minutes in, right? But yeah. So
work, and people are talking about, hey, did you watch this show? Did you watch that show? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, what do you do? Well, did you watch the MotoGP race?
Yeah. And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, then. Yeah, right.
Right. And TV is just not something that I really get into.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask you this then. What superpower do you wish you had, if you could have any?
I would say I wish I could fly.
Nice, me too, right? Because you can go anywhere.
Yeah. And it would save a whole lot of time over driving everywhere.
Facts, right? Yes. That's awesome. So, what 5 people would you bring to you on a desert island if you were stuck? What's the 5 people that you would want with you? It could be anybody, famous racers, whoever. Who's 5 people you'd want to be with you stuck on the same island?
Oh, that's crazy. One, I'd absolutely bring my girlfriend. I would want her to. I would have to say Steve on the podcast would definitely be one of them. There's a couple people that I served with that I would bring. I'm not going to mention their names on here, but they know why. And a 5th one, let's see. I have to bring somebody along for entertainment value.
Somebody that'll make you laugh, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would ask you Netflix and chill, right? But obviously we done covered that. What's your favorite meal? Like your all-time favorite meal? Like, oh man, I love it. I can't get enough.
I'm a big fan of anything barbecue. I've got a smoker. I like to, make all kinds of things. I love to cook.
Yeah, me too.
So, the vets get to eat pretty well when they come. I want them to not have to worry about, going out to eat at night and everything else. So we eat right here, and we usually have pretty good food. When they wind up get ready to go to bed. You know, they got a full belly, they're happy.
That's it,
So,
right? That's yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, tell everybody that's watching one interesting fact about you.
so one interesting fact about me, I used to be a school teacher.
Nice.
I taught vocational ed. I taught auto body. I used to be a painter back in the day, painter, bodywork, framework, all that. And then I started teaching. I taught for 4 years, about 4.5 years. So when I first joined the military, I joined in the National Guard, and then I had some active time in there, and then went back to the Guard again. So during that first stint of Guard, I was actually teaching at the same time. So that was one of those things that taught me a lot about myself. You know, I got the kids that nobody wanted. You know, a lot of the people that end up in the paddock, you know, they were the troubled kid. They were the one who took, you know, all that, and realizing how important they really are, you know, and giving them a voice and giving them a chance to have somebody believe in them, you know, is huge.
It is.
And that carried on to when I was in Afghanistan. My job in Afghanistan was to lead a team that trained the Afghan army. So I had a bunch of guys that, you know, the units had to give up to be able to be a part of this team. Well, they're not going to give you their best people.
Yeah.
And one of the guys that was on my team was actually one of the veterans that I put on track days and on a team. And Tony, I'm going to tell a little story about you that you can go ahead and smack me later for. But Tony had some things happen to him over there that were very unfair. And he ended up becoming a part of my team. And I didn't know him from Adam when he came. And I kind of gave him a speech right off the bat and said, you know why you're here. The unit thinks you're a piece of shit. Go ahead and prove that to me. It's your choice. You can either be what they say, or you can or you can prove yourself. And he turned out to be awesome. You know, he felt like he had that second chance, and he strived. He was actually the first veteran I ever put on the track.
Nice.
I actually had to take that even a step further. So when I first started this, I was doing a veterans track day. He had to sell his motorcycle after he got back, you know, a whole bunch of reasons for that. And I called him and I asked him if he could come up and help me, because this is too big for me to run by myself. He lives in Ohio. He drives up, and that night I'm telling him we need to change tires on the bike. So we're going from race tires to street tires. And he's asking me why, and I'm evading. So at the very last minute, I tell him, by the way, you're riding. And I told him to bring a helmet because I might be able to get him on a parade lap during the day.
Right.
Well, he'd never ridden a sport bike. He had never been on a racetrack. So he wore my boots, my suit, my gloves, and rode my bike. And he went out and did his first track day. And he ended up buying a motorcycle. He's been a big supporter of ours and we put him on. But that, going back to the teaching, that was what taught me everybody matters. You know, there's so many people that are so easily thrown away from our society, you know, because you aren't the one who fits in with who they think you should.
Whatever
right?
agenda they have. Yeah.
And a lot of veterans feel that way when they come home. I don't fit anymore. Nobody wants me around. I don't want to deal with this anymore. So giving them the opportunity to be around not only other veterans, but civilians that have that same mentality, So that's a very, very long answer for, what's something special about me.
No, listen, Jim, it's perfect. Nothing's too long, right? I love it. I love hearing all the stories. I think it's great. It really is. So what made you join the military to begin with?
I joined artillery because I want to blow shit up. And the other thing was, so when I was 19, I was diagnosed with
CRS,
the one where you mix up words and letters and numbers and stuff. Dyslexia.
Yeah, dyslexia.
And numbers is the thing that I had the biggest issue with. So I joined artillery in a job that required the use of numbers and calculations just to prove that I could get through it and overcome it. And I learned to do things 3 times to make sure I was right. And that helped me later on in life. But during the time that I was in, we never fired a round out of safe. And I was as fast, if not faster, than most of the other chiefs that were out there. So it was something that I did to prove to myself that this was not a disability for me.
Yeah. I think people, our society uses everything's a disability now. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Are you there, Jim?
The sad part about that is there are so many disabilities that are real that people blow off. And then there's some, and I don't want to cast a blanket here, but
no,
there's some that all of a sudden everybody has.
Yeah.
And, it's that part of it is frustrating, I actually have a service dog. This dog next to me is actually a service dog, and she goes pretty much everywhere with me. And there are places that I won't take her because I know people are going to be there with their shitty little animal that they haven't trained. She's been attacked twice in public.
Oh no.
By another service dog. So somebody had to just put a vest on their dog and takes them wherever they go. And, I tell people that everybody wants to have their dog with them everywhere they go until they have to have their dog everywhere they go.
Yeah.
Think about the smallest restroom you've ever been in your life. Take her big 75-pound ass in there with you.
Right.
It's and having a dog like this, when she's got her vest on and everything, I walk in someplace and everybody go, it's me carrying a sign, something's wrong. Right. And they try to figure it out and they start asking questions.
Yeah.
Well, why do you need her? So, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I that's something I never thought about, having a service dog and the questions you get asked by people. It's something I never thought of before. But yeah, you're right. I could see that, right? Because now you kind of like label yourself, so to speak, when you go out in public, right, with it. So that's also probably causes a little bit more anxiety sometimes, right?
And for me, because of what I do with Vet2Track, I have to be in my opinion, I have to be transparent. I'm very open about the issues that I have. I want people to know that, I'm not just doing this because, I make money from it or whatever. I do this because I'm one of you. I've been at the end of my rope before. I was just lucky there was a big enough knot at the end to keep me from falling. and luckily that knot was attached to a motorcycle.
I love it.
And the parts of me that don't ever want to talk about some of this stuff scream hard, and then the next thing I know, I'm telling somebody something that I never thought I would tell people. Are there still things that are not rated for public consumption? Absolutely. But
yeah.
I'm not going to not tell people just because I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I want them to know that just because somebody's labeled with something, that label doesn't define who they are.
No, it does not. I agree.
I have PTSD. I suffer from depression. I have some issues with anxiety that all stem from being overseas. Do those define who I am? No. Do they affect who I am? Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's good that I could see the big challenge, right? Finding something that takes your mind away and makes you feel comfortable within yourself, right? Because I got anxiety and I got ADHD. It's nothing like what you guys do, but I find myself sometimes, man, it's when I really get uncomfortable or something's just like making my anxiety go through the roof. You got to learn certain ways, I guess, to deal with it and help you get over that hump, right?
Right.
And it's scary. I mean, let's just be honest, Jim. It's not fun. It's really not, and so it's yeah, man. It's a struggle, but I'm glad that knot was in that rope and it was big enough and it was attached to that motorcycle. So, my friend, you are here. Yes, I love it. What's your favorite music?
I like metal. I love classic rock. Not a huge country fan. But I do listen to a little bit of everything. As much traveling as I do, you get tired of listening to the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
So, I have Sirius in the truck and I just kind of station hop. And I found some things that I like that I was like, I had no idea I would like this.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same. I listen to everything. I listen to all kinds of music. I'm not really too big on country like you, but I do listen to some of it. My wife's a huge country fan, right? But yeah, I like all kinds, rock, heavy metal, classic rock. Like I find myself when I just in a mood and I just want to jam or whatever, it's mostly classic rock. You put it on, right? The old school jams. Look, say hi, Rossi.
Hi.
He's showing his my boy loves Lego, so he'll go in there, man. He builds all kinds of Lego. This is a Lego butterfly knife that he made, Jim.
That's crazy,
dude, bro. He makes all kinds of stuff. He'll come in there. He's like, Dad, check out this gun I made. And you can put a rubber band on it, and dude, he'll make it to where the trigger actually pulls. He put springs in them from pins. Like he's a smart kid. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's he's ingenious. Like he'll go in there and just he don't there you go. Look, yeah, look, the magazine comes out. Look at that. Yeah, just squeeze the trigger, the thing works. Look, I mean, that's right. Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah. So books. What books do you read? Or your favorite book? Let me ask your favorite book that had the most influence on you.
I don't know if I have one single book that had the biggest influence. One that I like to read when I'm just need something to get away from. I don't know if you've ever heard of Vince Flynn.
No, I haven't.
But he has a very, very different writing style than like Tom Clancy. But he does the political thriller type, political military type genre. And I really liked his books. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago, but those are great series. There's a couple other books that I've read recently that I'm trying to remember the name of the one. It was written by a Navy SEAL who, when he was a kid, was actually a fat, lazy
David Goggins.
Yes,
that's my dude. Yes,
that book is amazing.
It is. Have you read his second one?
I have not.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Jim, I love to read, right? But when I physically pick up a book and read, like 10 minutes later, I'm right out like a little kid. So I like the audio books, right? Same thing. I could be at work, throw my earbuds in and turn the volume up and get at it, right?
And I'll do those on the road as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever listen to like Lex Friedman or any of those podcasters that have a lot of the vets on their podcasts?
I don't. And one of the reasons that I don't is I usually don't have enough time to actually put in the focus that I want to put in.
Yeah.
Do it. So I don't actually get to experience it. I only get to hear bits and pieces of it. So those are things that I do more so during the winter, where I've got some time and I can just set aside some time and actually focus on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, obviously I like, man, I never in a million years thought that I'd listen to a lot of podcasts, right? I do. There's of course motorcycle podcast, and there are other podcasts I listen to, like Joe Rogan, right? Cause he's good. I do like Steve-O. I like Steve-O's from Jackass. I like his podcast, man. He's funny, but it's something that I never thought of in a million years that I would actually be doing, right? So it's like when I first got into it, I was actually a guest on Pin to Gas, and it's like it woke this monster up inside me I never knew I had, right? It's crazy. And now I'm all about it. Obviously, as everybody knows, it's changed my life in a good positive way, right?
I get that.
Yeah, so it's instead of focusing on other things or Charlie, my dog, I got a pit bull. Her name's Charlie, right? I wish I could turn my laptop around. She's over here. I have a gas. I'm replacing in my fire, my chimney. I got one of those gas log things I could put in there. I just need to get the gas line ran. And my dog's over there chewing on the box, licking it like it's delicious, right? It's like, Charlie, stop chewing on the box. Thank you. Dogs, man, they're weird, man. But you know, man, I loved animals, obviously, but yeah, man. Listen, Jim, what a journey you've been on in your life, and to be at this moment in time and where you are, it's amazing, right? And all the people you reach out and help, it's if we had more Jims in this world, it'd be a lot better place. I'll tell you that 100%. For sure. So let me ask you this, Jim. What one person, if there's any, had the biggest influence in your life?
Biggest influence, I would actually have to say it was a leader I had early on in the military. He was my second chief. He was an asshole, but he was an asshole to everybody. But he gave a shit about everybody. Yeah. He expected you to go be above and beyond and be excellent all the time. And he didn't accept anything less. And then the moment we got off, it was party time. And he was a crazy man, you know, but he pushed me in a way nobody else had ever done. And then several years later, I was actually his peer.
Nice.
And being able to work, you know, at the same level as him taught me a lot about leadership and how leadership is never about being in charge. You know, it's about serving those that are that you're in charge of, you know, responsible for, I should say.
Yeah.
You know, it's really easy to be the one up there barking orders. It's a whole nother thing to put yourself out there to make sure that the people that, you know, look up to you for guidance have everything they need to be able to do their job and grow as a human being. You know, leadership is never about you. Leadership is always about everybody else.
Yeah, it is. It's a team effort, right? Everybody's got to be happy and play their own parts.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So, man, one of the biggest influences that I had in my life, man, is my dad, bro. Straight up, like he's. I wish everybody had a dad like I have. I really do. Again, the world would be a lot better place, you know. Yeah, he's taught me so many things, and he was a hard ass. Right? Obviously, Navy fighter pilot, right? So no bullshit. But he's a gentle giant, if you know what I mean, right?
Yep.
I never got beat as a kid. I barely ever did I get whoopings. Man, but he used to pull my ear. Oh my God, dude, Jim, I hate when I seen him come around the corner, he was pissed. I'd go like this because I already knew it was coming, right? I mean, he would do it like trying to rip my ear off. Oh man, dude, yeah, absolutely. As soon as he touched my ear, I'm like, I won't never do it again. I promise, you know. But man, he's taught me so many things. And when you're in that situation, you're growing up, Jim, you don't see the lessons you're being taught until you get older in life. And then you look back, you're like,
absolutely.
I'm glad he did that. Like it's and that's why I am the way I am with my son too, you know. And at the end of the day, and I speak of this frequently. The main reason why I do this podcast, obviously, is to help grow the sport and give platforms to people that need a voice, because everybody needs a voice.
Yep.
But I do it for my son at the end of the day, right? First and foremost, that's because one day when, you know, I'm not here, when it's time to clock out, he can always have this platform to go back and watch the videos and hear my voice and see me. And yeah, so that's my big thing with the podcast. And he loves it, man. He draws me pictures of Pin the Gas, dude. When I get stickers in, he'll go around the neighborhood, knock on people's door, and try to sell them, dude. It's awesome, man. It is. He'll take them to school. He tries to hustle his teachers. He's like, yeah, $5 a sticker. I only tell him like $2.50, right? He's like, I need $5 for a sticker, and he'll come home and be like, here's your $2.50. Look at the $2.50 I got, right? I'm like, I didn't teach him that. It's just something he just, you know, I think it's awesome. It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It really is. Yeah, man. Listen, this has been a good journey, man. This has been a good talk, man. We have so much more to talk about. We definitely need to do this again. We will. So when we end the podcast, just stay on. We can go ahead and plan something for next year.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead. Man, I have a hard time talking today. Freaking shots last night. So everybody, I went out and I told Jim, man, I went to this Halloween party down the street. It was adults only. And I was like, man, I'm not going to, get too drunk tonight. I got a podcast tomorrow, this and that. And of course, you see all your buddies and they're like, here, take this shot. Here, take this shot. And you're just, well, down the hatch, baby. Let's go. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. And then, yeah, I got up this morning. I'm like, oh man, it's killing. It's not like when we was 20 anymore, Jim. Right. But we could, dude, I remember, and I could get drunk, party all night, 3 hours of sleep, wake up, feel like $1 million.
Yep.
Now, man, yeah, it takes me days to recover.
Yeah,
from it. But
I'm 57, so
okay. Well, I'm 46. Yeah, man, and I find Jim, like me personally, like, dude, I like to work out some, right? But I also like to stretch. I feel like, man, the older I get, the more it's important for me to actually stretch my body, so I'm not waking up and I'm just like this stiff, muscles tight, right, and all that stuff. But yeah, man, it's I call it getting young. Getting young sucks, right? It does, man. Getting young sucks. But man, I'm blessed to this life that I live, and everybody that loves me and supports me, and all my friends that I have around, you included, it's I'm blessed to have you guys in my life, and what an awesome life it's been. You know what I'm saying? No regrets at all. It's
For sure.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things, that have happened in my life that, I wouldn't wish on anybody. But at the same time, I would never give any of them up because they turned me into the man that I am today.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right, 110%. Sometimes I think sometimes, man, when people make a mistake, other people outside don't never let them forget that mistake, which is not right? One mistake does not define you as a person or the rest of your life, and that could be said in many different areas. But yeah, Jim, listen, what an honor, bro, to have you on the podcast. I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to the next one. You're the first guest that I'm going to go ahead and schedule another podcast for next year, right? So you're going to be
awesome.
On the list. Yeah, I love it, dude. It's awesome. So why don't you tell all the listeners how they can support you, how they can get in touch with Vet2Track and all that good stuff?
Okay, so a couple different ways. As far as helping with the financial support, if you go to store.vet2track.org, we have a store. You can get all kinds of t-shirts and other swag out there.
Yeah, show them some of the shirts.
So we have the infamous this is my therapy logo with this on the back. We have multiple colors out on the website. For those of you that are more of the bagger persuasion, we actually have the bagger version of that shirt.
Love it.
We have a bunch of other things on there. There's also a link on there for donations if you want to make a financial donation. We are a 501c3, so donations can be tax deductible. If the company you work for is part of your cause, like actually the company I work for, we use your cause for all of our charity donations and things like that. We are registered on there, so you can actually make a one-time donation. You can make a recurring donation through there. If you want to help by volunteering to help with a weekend, go to the website. There's a volunteer link. That is different than if you want to be a veteran who is sponsored for the weekend to either be on a team or on a track day. So just go out to the website, take a look at that. Right now, our primary website is down. It's one of those things that I have just not had enough time to get back to. So I'm going to be working on that in the next week. If there's any web designers out there who are really bored that want an extra project, reach out to me. Vet2Track is on Facebook, Instagram. Our email is the easiest one is just info@vet2track.org. Feel free to reach out to me directly. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. So yeah, just reach out to me. And if you have any questions, if you want to help with something, if you have an idea for something that maybe I haven't thought of, reach out and let me know. I'm always willing to listen to other ideas. I don't want to take out too much from what we do now. I don't want to change it because there's other people who do things that are adjacent to what we're doing and they do it better. So I want to leave them to do that. I don't want to encroach on that and do it half-assed. So there's two of us that are doing something half-assed instead of one of us doing something that's really good. So yeah, if you have ideas that fit along this line, by all means, let me know. and
So
we can look at that.
have you ever thought about just idea off the top of my head? I thought about why man, I have issues talking today. Uh why you were talking and explaining, dude. Have you ever thought about taking one of your t-shirts, going around Moto America, having all the riders sign it and do a raffle for it, and all those proceeds could help, you know?
I've thought about it. I haven't. So at a lot of the events, I am the only one there to run our vendor booth. So it's one of those, could I make some extra money by doing that? Probably. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not in the vendor booth. And the vendor booth to me isn't just about selling the shirts and the swag and whatever. That's where I meet a lot of the veterans. And there's been times where I've had a veteran come through and you can tell they're just struggling.
Yeah.
And I bring them into the booth and we'll sit there and talk for an hour or two. And they may or may not end up on a team or whatever, but it gives them a chance to have somebody who understands, you know. And yeah. I give out my phone number to every one of the veterans, several of the veterans at the track, and it is one phone number that they can call at any time. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, on a school night, so to speak.
Yeah.
If you need somebody to talk to that you don't have, call me.
Yeah. I say the same thing. I'm always here for anybody ever wants to talk, right? Especially if you're going through something where you don't feel like you're good enough, or it's you have other thoughts, right? Yeah, please reach out, and it's very important, right? I'm the same way, Jim. I gave everybody my phone number. They're like, "Oh, can I have your number?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Blah blah blah. Right? So it's I think it's very important. It really is, especially when you see somebody and you feel that they're going through something. You say, "Hey, man, can we chat for a minute?" You know, and then they let it all out, man. It makes you feel good. They smile, and yeah, mission accomplished, right? At least for that day, right?
Yeah. A fun, kind of interesting story. I was down at Daytona last year, and there's this 19-year-old kid who comes by, and kind of asks what we're doing. We tell him, and all of a sudden he just starts spilling his guts. He's not a veteran, but he suffers from PTSD because of things that happened during his childhood. I mean, he was shot, he was gangbanger, he was all of this, and he turned his life around, but he still carries all of that with him. And Steve was down there with me, and this kid comes in. This is your hard ass gangbanger dude, and he comes in and he's bawling because he finally had somebody he could talk to.
Yeah.
And having experienced that, you know, changes you. You know, when you see somebody that doesn't know you, literally met me 2 minutes ago, comes in and just starts talking and realizes I can talk to these people because they understand, you know, different situation, but they understand, and they just let go, you know, and that's why we do this. Yeah. You know, that's why so many of us do the things that we do in the veteran space, or even, you know, what you do. You give people that voice, and you also give them an ear. You know, you give them somebody that's going to listen. And, you know, I always say, I don't judge. I may point my finger and laugh, but I don't judge.
Yeah, people. Me too. I don't either.
And just being able to have people trust you enough to be able to say something or do something that they never would have done, you know, starts that journey for them.
It does.
You know, and if we can all touch one life in our journey, things in this world will get better.
Yeah, Jim, well spoken. I agree 110%. It's and in those conversations when you're helping them out, it helps you out, even though you don't realize it at the moment, right? It's bringing something inside of you out that either you never knew you thought you had, or could say or do to help somebody in whatever situation they're in. It's yeah, man, I love to talk to people because I'm a good listener, you know, and Yeah, but sometimes don't take my advice, right? Because it might not be the best, but we're like with the shots last night, not a good idea, right? So, but yeah, so Steve, I mean, obviously you read it, but I'm gonna read it for everybody. He says, "Love what you're doing, Jim. Thanks, Chris. PTSDs and mental health issues are not dealt with very well. Jim puts on an event and provides a safe space for veterans where they know they won't be judged because the attendees often understand and empathize with these issues. Something I read the other day, the term let it go comes to mind. Let it go, spoken by someone who has never had an intrusive thought so persistent that with every exhale, it felt like it was spoken every minute." That's Steve. That's amazing. And you're right. It's crazy how 5 minutes with somebody, looking them in the eyes, giving a big old hug, and they feel that you really care about them, changes their whole world, changes their whole day, their whole attitude, right? Yeah, you're right. There's no other feeling like it, right? Except for, of course, throwing your leg over a bike and being out on the racetrack. But the satisfaction you get from helping somebody is, I think, even more so than that, right? Because riding's emotional too, but when you look at somebody in the eyes and they're coming with you with whatever issues they have, and you really help them solve them and put a smile on that face,
and that's probably the coolest part about this, is being able to do both of those things.
Yeah.
When you're on a motorcycle, especially on a racetrack, you can focus on 10 seconds in front of you. You might be able to think about, I want to pass this guy at this corner. I know how I have to set it up, but you can only focus on that 10 seconds in front of you.
Yeah.
And when you do that over a weekend, some of these guys have not been out of their head since the day they returned home. So being able to turn that off for a whole weekend is insane.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. And then on Monday, you actually have a little bit of control over what comes back in, because it's not the first thing you wake up with.
Yeah.
And when you wake up with something different in your head, you go, you know what? Not today. I'm not dealing with that today.
Nope.
I'm going to deal with my thoughts about the racetrack, about the team, about, watching the race, whatever it is, and move forward. Does it fix everything? Nope. In some ways, it doesn't fix anything. Mm-mm. It just gives you another tool to be able to deal with those things, so they're not overwhelming you every minute of every day.
Yeah, dude. Well said, right? So anybody listening now, or anybody that's going to listen in the future, whatever platform you listen to your podcast on, man, listen, if there's anything you guys ever want to talk about, exactly like, reach out to Jim, reach out to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would love to. I love to help people. It's a great feeling. It really is. So seriously, I'm serious. Anybody, you guys ever want to talk, it don't even have to be motorcycle related. I mean, it could be anything, right? Please feel free to call. Yeah, it's wonderful to have people like you, Jim, that people can always reach out to and talk to, and especially the field that you come from, right? Being overseas and dealing with things that us civilians would never dream of, being in whatever situations. It's and be able to come back, have a clear mind, and reaching out to help other people, which helps you, is it's amazing. It really is. I love it, Jim. It's one of the best stories I've heard. Absolutely. So yeah, everybody listen, we're an hour and 30 minutes into this. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this podcast. We're gonna finish it up. Obviously, Jim's done told everybody where you can find him at in Vet2Track. So if anybody ever wants to reach out, please do it. And if you forget what he said, reach out to me. I'll put you in contact with him. No problem. Again, I just want to say thank you for everybody that listens and supports the podcast. It means everything to me. It really does. I love all you guys, and I say it all the time. without you guys, it would just be me sitting here on camera talking to myself in the mirror, right? But yeah, man, I thank all you guys. I really do. It really means a lot. I know I say it. So, and you guys obviously know where you can find me at. I'm on all social media platforms, iHeart, Spotify, all that good stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining in. And man, this podcast has been an eye opener, and I hope everybody that listened to it takes something away from it in a positive way, right?
Absolutely.
And don't forget, look at yourself in the mirror and smile and tell yourself how much you love yourself, right? I think that's very important too, man. You got to. So a little secret about me, I have my own little ritual I go through before I podcast, and one of them is I stand in front of the mirror and I look at myself and say, "You're going to kill it today. Like this is going to be proper mega, right? You're gonna have so much fun." And to me, it helps clear my mind and gets me ready, right? Everybody has their own little things that they do or go through, but that's one of mine. And I think it's important. So yeah, but listen, everybody, thank you for tuning in and joining in. And Jim, bro, what an honor. And I can't wait to have this conversation again, right, in the future. So thank you guys. Yeah, me too, bro. Me too. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, joining in. If you haven't watched the MotoGP race, I haven't yet. I'm going to here when this is done. Yeah, if not, you should. I don't know what you're doing with your life if you're not watching MotoGP today, All World Superbike, right? Like, come on now. Yeah, let's do it. So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much. I'm Chris, the show Simcoe. My man Jim, Vet2Track. Until next time, see you guys.
Thank you, everybody.